Welcome to, what do you want to call our book club?
Okbye Book Club.
Welcome to the okbye book club. We're starting in February with a Valentine's edition. But we're going to be reading a probably not Valentine's themed book called Remarkably Bright Creatures.
Yeah. I like the cover art of the books.
I do like it. The more I look at it, I like mine more now.
Yeah, your one is nicer. Plus mine is hardback and it's horrible.
My octopus just looks happier. Okay, do you want to read what the book is about? Do you want to read the blurb?
Okay, you want me to read it?
Yeah, okay.
A charming, witty, and compulsively readable exploration of friendship, reckoning, and hope that traces a widow's unlikely connection with a giant Pacific octopus. After Tova Sullivan's husband died, she began working the night shift at the Sowell Bay Aquarium, mopping floors and tidying up. Keeping busy has always helped her cope, which she's been doing since her 18-year-old son, Eric, mysteriously vanished on a boat in Puget Sound over 30 years ago. Tova becomes acquainted with curmudgeonly Marcellus, a giant Pacific octopus living at the aquarium. Marcellus knows more than anyone can imagine, but wouldn't dream of lifting one of his 8 arms for his human captors, until he forms a remarkable friendship with Tova. Ever the detective, Marcellus deduces what happened the night Tova's son disappeared, and now Marcellus must use every trick his old invertebrate body can muster to unearth the truth for her before it's too late. You think the book's gonna be happy or sad?
I think it's going to be bittersweet.
How much do you want to bet the octopus dies in the end?
If the octopus dies, no. I think the octopus is going to die.
Maybe he'll solve the crime and then be set free into the ocean after they figure out he's smart. Or they figure out he's smart, and so the FBI kidnaps him and then probes his brain.
That could happen. Not the FBI, but yeah, they could do science on him. Oh, no, I don't want to read it.
I don't know if it's very romance themed though.
But I think it's going to be a different kind of love that we're going to explore in this book. That's still Valentine's.
True, it's friendship love.
Yeah. And mother and son. Do you think the son is going to be found?
True, maybe he's just like in some basement somewhere. They find him.
The bottom of the ocean?
No. A basement. Some creep's basement.
How is an octopus gonna go to a basement?
They can walk.
They can't. They have to live in water.
I thought they can breathe. I don't know.
Why is there no octopus on land then?
I've seen an octopus walk around on a boat. Maybe they can only do it for like a few minutes. I guess keep tuned for our future reviews and discussions. There's also some book club discussions at the back of Anushka's book, so you can do those.
Yeah, I didn't want to read them because I feel like that will spoil it too much.
True.
Okay, let's start reading then.
Nice.
I'm excited.
So this is the end of February. So we just finished our first book, Remarkably Bright Creatures.
Remarkably Bright Creatures.
So I think the plan is we've got a few book club questions that we're going to discuss. Yeah. Or do you want to start off with just what you thought about the book?
I think so. First, give us an overview of what you thought. An overview.
I like the book. It was pretty wholesome. I liked the ending. But so during the book, We're going to include spoilers in this, right? We don't care.
Yeah.
So during the book, there was a boy, and he had lost his mum, or he didn't know who his mum was, so he was looking for his dad, or any of his parents, I think, in general. And then he went to find his dad in this town where this old lady lived. But I feel like because we knew the viewpoint of the octopus, we knew they were related the whole time, we also knew they were related the whole time. So there was no, like, suspense or anything. Like, I knew from the very beginning that they were, like, grandson and grandmother.
Oh, I didn't know that. Like,
Really?
even though we knew that they were related from the beginning, I was still trying to decide what their relationship would be, and I thought that maybe he was going to be related to Tova's brother because they talked about her brother for a while. And then they
True.
talked about like they were like had a distanced relationship over the years. So then I thought that maybe it had something to do with the brother. And then I was
True, it could have been.
Yeah, and then I was thinking along those lines, and because I never wanted to believe that her son was dead. So then I always thought that it would be related somehow, but not in a way that it was the son's child.
True, I think it was pretty much confirmed that the son was dead, right? Even the octopus, when he swam into the ocean, said he's going to go sit next to the remains or whatever of the son.
No, but he only talks about the shoe, and he doesn't say much else.
No, he says he's swimming down to where the remains of that boy is. So he knows where his remains are.
Oh, really? Oh, maybe I don't remember that very well then.
He said he's going to lay to rest next to the remains of the boy or something like that.
Oh, I just thought he was referring to the shoe that he first mentioned at the bottom of the ocean.
Oh. There was another thing I wanted to discuss is, like, over and over again, that lady Avery kept talking about saving someone from jumping. It was clearly his mum, right?
Yeah.
That she saved.
Yeah.
And when she said something about a boom, and everyone thought it was like a gun or some explosion or something, but then Tova was talking about the boom of a ship.
Yeah.
So she also witnessed the son die.
No, Avery was. Remember, there's like.
Avery was talking to Daphne, who was talking about a boom.
Yeah, and then that's the end. That's the last thing we see, right? When Avery's talking about how she saved that woman who kept going on about the boom, and then we just connected the dots that it was Daphne who she saved. I liked it though. It made me like that. Yeah, I liked it because it made me like Daphne in the end, even though we spent the whole book hating her.
Why did you hate her? I didn't hate her.
Like, I didn't hate her, but like
He hated her.
Yeah, but I was more on his side, being like, you know, like I went through the same thing that he went through, where like I was like, yeah, why would she do that? Why would she go and be addicted to drugs like that and leave her son? And then later on, when he finds out what happened, then he probably changed his feelings towards his mom, right? And he was like, I get why you kind of lost your way. And then I also felt that. It was nice.
True. That's nice. And yeah, what I was talking about is in one of the when he's released into the ocean, he's talking about humans, and he's like, oh, humans are dull creatures, but every so often humans are usually dull, but every so often you find one or two that are remarkably bright creatures. That's what the octopus says. So is the humans are the remarkably bright creatures, not the octopus. That's what I was talking about.
Oh, so do you think it was Cameron then?
No, it's over. But yeah, maybe also Cameron. Because he says that. That's like in his last journal entry. You didn't read that?
But they also say that about the octopus, that they are remarkable.
I don't think they ever did. That's the first time I read it.
No.
Humans, for the most part, you are all dull and blundering, but occasionally you can be remarkably bright creatures. That's what he says.
But I'm pretty sure that they call him the remarkably bright creature too. That's interesting. I like it.
The ending was nice too. They were like a family, and then Ethan moved in or something, or he was staying with them a lot.
Yeah. Ethan wasn't staying with them, but I think they implied that they were dating.
I mean, she said he's here more often than not, or something like that.
Yeah, because they're dating.
Mm.
I liked him.
True. He's my favorite character in the book.
Oh, Ethan?
Who's your favorite? Marcellus?
Yeah, obviously Marcellus. But I think I didn't not like any character. I think I liked all of them.
Yeah, they were all pretty nice.
Yeah, but Ethan was definitely the friendliest one. I think the ones I liked the least are probably Tova's friends.
Why? They're all so nice to her.
Yeah, they were nice, but they were like classic old ladies.
What do you mean Tova was the most classic old lady? Okay, you want to go through the questions?
Yeah,
What are the questions?
I learned a lot about octopuses too from this book. Like, I thought it was going to be for a while when we like read the blurb and it said that the octopus is a detective. I thought it was going to be like not a realistic book and it was just going to be a little crazy. But actually, it was very nicely written.
True. It was nice.
Okay, this one. What kind of person do you think Marcellus would be if he were human? What qualities do Marcellus and Tova both share that make this remarkable friendship a success?
I don't know. I thought the whole point of the book was that he thinks very differently to humans, and he's always confused about how humans think. So if he was a human, maybe he'd be like someone with a very different brain who thinks very differently to other people, or like some secluded kind of guy.
I think, like, if you think translate as like abilities literally, but he would probably be somebody who's a very logical, practical thinker.
True. Probably like quite adventurous or something.
Yeah, a risk taker.
Mm.
And definitely the kind of guy who thinks he's smarter than everyone else.
But I think it was implied that he was smarter than everyone else.
Yeah, but he
like,
also
because the new octopus came in, and then Tova's like, "Oh, she's kind of happy that the new octopus is kind of dumb because that means Marcellus was special."
Yeah, but he also knows that. Like, he was not humble.
True.
What qualities do you think they share that make this remarkable friendship a success? I think they're both lonely.
Yeah,
and
true.
they both kind of think that their life is like not very good. Like, they both feel trapped.
I don't know. I think both of them coped with their situations in the same way. Like, neither of them seemed particularly emotional about it. They were just like, Marcella was like, "Oh, I'm gonna die in 2 days," and it seemed like he didn't even care. And Tova was like, "Oh, my son is gone," and it seemed like she wanted to not care.
Yeah, and I think that they were just like, Tova was like stuck in a routine, and Marcellus was literally imprisoned. So, I just think that both of them had like a similar kind of life, and that's why when they found somebody to care about again, then it made life more worth living for them.
I guess so. And then both of them left his literal prison and her metaphorical prison, I guess. She sold a house and then moved in with Cameron and stuff like that. And he was set into the ocean.
Yeah.
In the end.
True. I loved that part so much. And I was happy.
It was kind of bittersweet, though. Like, he only gets to be in the ocean for like a day, and he dies.
Yeah, but still, better than nothing.
Mm.
But I was also
True.
happy that she was the one to set him free and not any other thing.
Mm.
Marcellus is smarter than any human he encounters. Have you ever had encounters with animals, octopuses or otherwise, who demonstrated surprising levels of intelligence, emotional or otherwise? Have you ever felt seen by an animal or felt a relationship with an animal deepen upon earning their trust?
I think so. I think that's why I like dogs a lot. Dogs are always like that. I feel like a dog will understand a lot more than you think they understand. Especially about like, a dog can tell if you're like sad or happy or whatever.
Yeah.
And they'll like act differently based on that.
Did you think
Whereas
that
most humans can't tell.
Yeah. Did you think that your relationship with your dog changed when you first adopted him versus like a few years later?
Probably. I mean, when we first adopted him, he was like a little puppy. And I was also pretty young, so neither of us knew what the hell was happening. We were just like doing random stuff.
That's how I thought.
But I feel like when you're older, or like after we had him for a while, then it's like a different kind of relationship because you don't have to. Even though they're like super smart, you don't communicate by like talking to them all the time. They're just there, and you kind of understand what the other person's gonna do. Like the dog understands what you're gonna do, and you understand what he's gonna do without saying anything.
Do you think if we had a pet octopus, it would be a similar relationship, or will it be less emotional, but you know that it's there?
I think it's just different because we find dogs cute, and that makes a difference probably.
You don't
Or
think
like,
octopuses are cute?
yeah, cute, but they're also a little bit freaky to look at.
And if one is
Like
your
if you
pet,
saw an octopus in the wild, I don't think you'd go up and touch it.
because it's a wild one. But if it's my pet, I don't think I'd touch a wild dog either.
You'd be way more likely to.
No, not in the wild. Not a wild
Why
dog.
not? You've definitely touched a stray dog or patted a stray dog in your life.
But it's not in the wild.
What is it then?
Like I wouldn't touch like a wild dog that is a predator.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
But the octopus is not going to eat you. It's not a predator to you. It's just kind of gross.
I guess. Not this one.
But yeah. True. But yeah, maybe you'd have a similar relationship with an octopus. But also, they live in the water, so you can't like stay with them all the time.
But it made me want to feel what the tentacles would feel like around my arm.
True.
I think it would be cool, especially if it leaves marks and stuff. I want to see that.
Yeah, I held a snake for the first time recently. Maybe it'll be similar. Snakes feel so weird. They feel like they're weirdly bony, but all the bones can move.
Oh, I thought it was like scaly, like touching something really rough or something.
It's scaly, but like, I don't know, I expected it to be like squishy. They're not squishy at all. They're like pure muscle. But it is scaly.
That's the dream.
Maybe an octopus would be like that too, like muscly.
No, but octopuses, they are squishy. Like they look squishy. Like they look like jelly. That can't be muscle.
I mean, they can move them. There must be some kind of muscle.
Yeah, but it's more like it's covered with a layer of softer skin.
Yeah,
well,
maybe.
I don't know. It's hard to say. Because if they were as like rigid as a snake is, then they wouldn't be able to squeeze through the small places, right?
Yeah, true. But yeah. You never had a pet, right?
No. It makes me want to get
you want
one.
A pet?
Yeah, I would want an octopus as a pet, but I just think it'll be cruel.
Yeah, probably.
Which brings me to my next question. Terry reveals that Marcellus was rescued from the sea after a life-threatening injury. Aquariums play an important role in education and conservation, but some people view keeping animals, especially intelligent ones, in captivity with skepticism. What do you think?
I think it's pretty cool. That's why I don't like visiting zoos and aquariums that much anymore.
Yeah, but like, for example, in this particular case, he says that it's not like we wanted a bad life for him, but they actually saved him from dying in the ocean. Do you think that's
True, but it's hinted
justified?
multiple times that both Marcellus and Terry know that he would rather not have been saved.
Hmm. Yeah, I think it's bad. Like, it's nice that they saved him, but they should have released him again.
Yeah, but then again, it's like the panda situation, right? Like pandas in uh, a lot of charitable organizations, even though they're like completely useless and they can't survive by themselves, they get the most funding, and that's because they're like the mascot of the charity. And because they're the mascot, they get a lot more attention to other animals too, to get like money funded to them. So maybe if they saw like Marcellus in a tank, then people were like, "Oh, octopus is kind of cool. Maybe I should like spend some money to an ocean charity to help preserve octopus lives or something." That's kind of good. But yeah, it's not like the octopus chose to be that mascot. So
I guess so. But, like, based on this question alone, it just made me feel like that's not enough of a justification to put somebody in an aquarium forever. It's kind of like saying that, oh, I saved this human from a life-threatening injury, so now I'm gonna keep them in jail forever so that they never face anything like that again. That's just dumb.
True.
Hmm.
Yeah.
So you save someone and then you put them back. What do you think happened to his parents?
I don't think octopuses live with their parents.
So, but he was a baby, right? Surely.
Who knows?
Okay, this one. This is like a Shakespeare one. This will be the last one.
Okay.
In the middle of the novel, Cameron says to Tova, "Conscience does make cowards of us all." What do you think he means by this statement? Do you agree with it?
What was the context of that again?
I don't remember.
Yeah, look. He agrees to keep Tova's secret visits and Marcellus's night excursions a secret, despite the potential risk to his job. After Marcellus is safely returned, Cameron muses on a quote from Shakespeare's Hamlet, which Tova reveals was a favorite quote of her son's. So yeah, it was after she convinced him to like keep her secret.
Yeah, so this was like when they had just met, right?
And right. I think in that context, it means that because they cared about the octopus, like their conscience was telling them that they should let him be free, even though it's bad for both of them. But that's not a cowardly thing, so I don't know how it makes sense. It's the opposite of cowardly, if anything. Maybe it just means that a conscience makes you less ruthless or something. So maybe the opposite of ruthless is cowardly.
I thought it was like you are like, I thought he was saying that you're doing this secretly instead of standing up to Terry to let him be free, and you're letting him be free in secret because your conscience knows that it's the right thing to do. So even though your conscience is telling you to set him free, you're being a coward by keeping him enslaved still and not standing up to Terry. Yeah. But because the way that she tells him that, he does this and I know this about him and I know that he's smart, but she's not doing anything about it, or like she's not saying anything and she's keeping it to herself.
But surely isn't that the cowardice overcoming her consciousness?
But the cowardly bit is that she refuses. So the conscience makes cowards of us all is true until the end when she just takes him and sets him free. That's her not being a coward anymore.
Right.
And doing the right thing.
But it's saying conscience makes a coward of us all. Right?
I don't know. Shakespeare was a weird dude.
Sure, he said some dumb stuff. Just made up words and stuff.
I actually can't remember the context in which he said that for Hamlet.
I think it just means that, like, logically speaking, you should be doing a certain thing, and that's like, but because you have a conscience, you're like kind of scared to do the thing you're supposed to do, so you're kind of being a coward. Like, you're supposed to keep Marcellus in the tank, I guess. That's her job.
No, I think, look, is a line from Hamlet. It means that our sense of right and wrong can sometimes make us afraid to act even when we know it's the right thing to do. That's what I was saying, right?
Yeah, that is what you're saying. But I don't get it, though. Like, the conscience is the only thing making her want to do the right thing. Not what's making her a coward. What's making her a coward is societal rules, right? Like, she has to keep her job. She can't make Terry upset or whatever.
Oh, like... Yeah, I thought, like, okay, this example that they gave is like, for example, people don't take their own lives because the thought and fear of knowing what happens after death scares them.
Oh, so by conscience, it means the act of being conscious, not about being thoughtful.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. So the fact that she's conscious about her job makes her a coward by not letting the octopus
because either if they told Terry that he gets out at night like this, they'll lose their job. Or if they set him free, they'll probably lose their job. Or if they try to fight it, they'll lose their job. So they just let it happen in secret.
I guess so.
Either way, all the interpretations make sense.
This is why Hamlet sucks.
Do you like this quote more than the really famous one? To be or not to be?
I don't even get that one. I don't get it. Like, yeah, how is that the question?
That is the question.
Like, but there's many questions in life. Like, well, what is it?
That is the question.
To be or not to be what?
To be or not to be.
To be or not to be what?
To be or not to be.
But what? Like, I can't choose not to be. I will always be in existence. No.
I think it was really well written because the story was real and the characters were real, and at any point it didn't feel like too much of a fantasy book. You know what I mean? Considering that it did involve a detective octopus. It was just like very relatable, and all of their struggles were just like real, and the people were just like, I could imagine people like this existing in life.
Sure. I liked it too.
That's why I really liked it.
Yeah, and everyone was likable, and nothing like crazy happened. It wasn't like super dramatized.
Yeah, I enjoyed it.
I give it a 9 out of 10.
What makes you give it one less?
I told you, I just thought like I knew too much from the beginning. There was like no element of suspense for me. But it's fine, I guess. That didn't make me want to read the book less.
Yeah, I guess. I think it was like the first half of the book is at its peak suspense, right? Because you're waiting for the stories to connect.
I like the first half less than the second half, though.
Yeah,
But even when the stories connect, yeah, because like once the stories connect, it gets more interesting. But even when they did, I thought it was like, yeah, I guess there was no suspense as such, but there were a few theories. Like when he went around saying that this was his dad, we all knew that it was not his dad. But I had many different theories in my head about it. Maybe I would have figured it out like you did if I had read it slowly.
Maybe.
Yeah.
What would you rate it?
10 on 10.
Nice.
Approved. I think
That's strong.
Yeah, I think I enjoy all books that like make me want to keep reading. It's hard to find.
Yeah, we chose well for our first book.
Yeah. That's it for this one. Okay, bye.
Yeah. Okay, bye.